The galaxy was vast, glittering with countless stars, planets, and civilizations. But even in such a grand expanse, a single species had captured the attention of the Galactic Council: humans. Small, fragile, and seemingly ordinary yet unpredictable in ways no other species could match. For centuries, the Council had watched humanity from afar, debating their place in the galaxy. Some counselors called humans dangerous, others saw them as a chaotic curiosity. Finally, a decision was made in secret: humans must be removed, entirely. Every human colony, every settlement, every sign of their existence would vanish. On the surface of Novara, a lush blue and green planet on the edge of the Milky Way, the human colony of Ilara Kane thrived. Ilara, a young engineer with quick hands and quicker mind, lived a life full of invention and exploration. The colony was peaceful, almost idyllic, with people working together to create farms, schools, and research facilities. Yet none suspected that the shadows of the Council's plans were already reaching for them. It began with whispers, strange ships in the outer systems, sudden communications blackouts, unexplained disappearances of neighboring colonies. At first, people thought it was natural accidents or rogue pirates. But Ilara felt a growing unease. Something in the galaxy had changed. Something cold and calculating was moving toward them. One morning, as Novara's twin suns rose over the mountains, a fleet appeared in orbit. Not human ships, not friendly. Ships of black metal, sleek and alien, each one bristling with weapons far beyond human technology. The sky above Novara darkened with their presence. "Everyone get to the shelters," Ilara shouted, her voice cutting through the panic. Engineers, farmers, and children scattered. Alarms blared. It was not a drill. It was real. The aliens descended not with words but with overwhelming force. Their landing ships struck with precision, targeting communication towers and power grids first. The humans of Novara were brave, but they were outmatched. Their weapons, designed for defense against wild creatures and minor space threats, were no match for advanced alien technology. Ilara ran through the chaos, her mind racing. She saw the Council's enforcers, tall metallic beings with fluid movements, cut down anyone who resisted. They moved with a terrifying intelligence, coordinated, efficient, and without mercy. Yet humans, as always, found ways to survive. Ilara guided a group of children and elders through a network of maintenance tunnels under the city. They emerged on the outskirts where improvised vehicles waited. With ingenuity born of desperation, Ilara modified small shuttles to avoid alien sensors. They slipped into the outer atmosphere, hearts pounding, the city of Novara shrinking below them in smoke and fire. For hours they drifted through space, hiding in asteroid fields, using debris as camouflage. They were safe for the moment, but Ilara knew they couldn't run forever. The Council's fleet was vast and their technology was far beyond human reach. Still, she refused to give up. Humans had survived worse. Humans had adapted to every challenge the universe threw at them. And humans, she realized, were capable of more than anyone could imagine. In a quiet corner of the shuttle, Ilara checked on the group. Among them was Captain Jonas Rell, a former space explorer and now one of the colony's leaders. "They'll come after us," he said grimly. "They don't just destroy and leave. They hunt," Ilara nodded. "Then we'll make sure they have a hard time finding us." Over the next days, the small group navigated a maze of star systems. They avoided major trade routes, dodged patrol ships, and scavenged supplies from abandoned stations. Each night they shared stories of Earth, of home worlds, and of human ingenuity. The spirit of survival burned bright even in the darkness of despair. Meanwhile, the Council convened in a massive floating citadel near the galaxy's center. Holoscreens displayed the human survivors' movements, and tension filled the room. "They shouldn't have survived," hissed Voran, the head of the Council's military branch. His reptilian features tightened with frustration. Every strike was precise, calculated. Every colony eliminated, and yet, they evade us. Another counselor, a being of crystalline structure named Scylla, replied calmly, "Humans are not like other species. They adapt. They find ways we cannot anticipate. It is irritating." "I don't call it irritating," Voran growled. "I call it dangerous. We aim to remove them from this galaxy, and now they move like ghosts, impossible to catch. If this continues, it will be a stain on the Council's reputation." Unseen to the counselors, humans like Ilara were already beginning to fight back, not with brute force, but with intelligence and creativity. They modified stolen alien tech, rigged ambushes, and used old human problem-solving skills to outsmart Council forces at every turn. The Council, confident in their dominance, had never encountered a species capable of such rapid adaptation. One evening, as the human survivors hit on a small moon, Ilara studied an old map of known colonies. "If we can reach the archives of Therian Station, we might find knowledge that can help us," she said to Jonas. "Plans, schematics, maybe even old Council data we can use against them." Jonas looked skeptical. "You think any human data survived?" "Most colonies have been erased." Ilara's eyes glinted. "Some things are always hidden. Some things are always left behind. And humans always find them." Their journey toward Therian Station was dangerous. They navigated asteroid belts, outran alien scout ships, and faced internal struggles. Fear, hunger, and fatigue tested their resolve. But the human spirit remained unbroken. Each time the Council struck, humans adapted. Each time they were cornered, they found new ways to escape. As the fleet of the Council scoured nearby systems, they began to notice a troubling pattern. The humans they tried to eradicate were learning from their attacks. Traps they had set were being turned against them. Strategies they believed would end the humans were failing, and in this failure, doubt began to spread among the Council ranks. Back on the small moon, Ilara gazed at the twin suns setting over jagged cliffs. She thought of Earth, of the colonies that had fallen, and of the unknown worlds ahead. The Council might be powerful, she thought, but humans were something else entirely. Humans survived because they had to. Humans thrived because they wanted to. And humans never gave up. Suddenly, a distant signal flickered through the shuttle's communicator. It was faint, almost imperceptible. Ilara's heart leapt. "Someone's alive," she whispered. The message was fragmented but clear enough. There were other human survivors, others who had escaped, others who were waiting. A spark of hope ignited. The fight was just beginning. The Council had assumed they could erase humans without a challenge, without resistance. They were wrong, terribly wrong. As night fell over the moon, the stars above twinkled with possibility. Ilara knew that survival would not be enough. They would have to fight. They would have to outsmart. They would have to prove once and for all that humans were not a species to be eliminated. They were a species to be reckoned with. The shadows of erasure had come to the galaxy. But humans were shadows too, elusive and unstoppable. And in the darkness, the Council would soon learn that the very species they sought to destroy could not be contained, tamed, or forgotten. Ilara Kane and her small group of survivors drifted through the uncharted regions of the galaxy, their hearts heavy, but unbroken. The attack on Novara had been devastating, yet the human spirit remained strong. Every challenge reminded them of one truth: humans never gave up. The group's first stop was Talvrin Station, a neutral outpost orbiting a gas giant. It was quiet, abandoned in the shadows of interstellar politics. Humans were rare here, and any sign of them drew suspicion. Still, Ilara needed supplies, fuel, food, and access to old archives that might hold the key to survival. Inside the station's central hub, they encountered Kale Dor, a former trader who had secretly been aiding humans for months. His ship had been damaged during a Council raid, and he'd learned how to hide from patrols using clever disguises and alternate routes. "You're lucky to have found this station intact," Kyle said, eyes scanning the dim corridors. "Most human survivors are hiding in asteroids or the outer moons. The Council's scouts are everywhere. They know humans are clever, but they still chase us like prey." Ilara nodded, and were about to prove them wrong. For days, the humans worked quietly, repairing Kale's ship and studying old maps of Council fleets. Ilara noticed something remarkable. Despite fear and exhaustion, every human had an idea. Each problem sparked multiple solutions. They worked together, combining technology and instinct, finding ways to survive where alien minds might only see failure. Kale watched, amazed. "I've never seen humans operate like this," he admitted. "It's not just skill, it's creativity. Unpredictable. Every move they make is different from what anyone expects." Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, the Council grew more frustrated. Foran paced his chamber aboard the Citadel, claws tapping against the crystalline floor. "They are everywhere and nowhere," he snarled. "We strike and they escape. We corner and they vanish. How can one species be so impossible? Scylla, calm as ever, replied, humans are adaptable. Their survival instincts are unmatched. We may have technology, but they have something we cannot control. Imagination and unpredictability. Voron's jaw tightened. Then we make them predictable. We force them into traps they cannot avoid. But humans, as always, found ways around every trap. On the outer rim, Ilara and her group reached Therion Station, a decaying relic of a bygone era. It was supposed to be a forgotten research hub, but humans had learned to read its secrets. Inside, the group discovered a hidden vault filled with old human archives, data, and schematics from generations of explorers, engineers, and scientists. Ilara's eyes lit up as she accessed the archive. This could change everything, she whispered. Plans, designs, even strategies the Council has forgotten. If we can use these, humans won't just survive, we can fight back. The humans divided into teams. One team repaired old ships using advanced schematics. Another crafted tools and devices that could outsmart the Council's machines. And Ilara led a team that focused on communications and intelligence, trying to intercept Council signals and anticipate their next moves. As they worked, news reached them of other survivors. Hidden colonies of humans were spreading across distant star systems, each one learning from the attacks, each one surviving against impossible odds. Humans were no longer just fleeing, they were adapting, forming networks, sharing knowledge, and growing stronger. One night, while monitoring a Council patrol near the asteroid belt, Ilara realized something incredible. They're predictable, she said, pointing at a holoscreen showing patrol routes. Not in their intentions, but in their patterns. Every time they strike, they follow a logic. It's rigid. We can use it against them. Jonas frowned. You mean, trap them? Ilara smiled. No, outthink them. Make them chase shadows. Use their own plans against them. Humans survive not because we're stronger, but because we're cleverer. And clever they were. Over the next weeks, humans launched small, precise attacks on Council supply lines. They sabotaged patrol ships, rerouted communication networks, and even freed captured humans from hidden Council prisons. Each operation was daring, unpredictable, and remarkably effective. News of these successes spread to other human survivors, inspiring hope. Even some alien species, once loyal to the Council, began to notice. Humans weren't just survivors, they were a new force in the galaxy. Quiet whispers of admiration and curiosity started to spread. They're unlike anything we've faced, one alien said in a council of merchants. You can't control them, can't predict them, they're extraordinary. The Council, however, refused to see humans as extraordinary in a positive sense. To them, humans were pests, nuisances, and threats. Voron's frustration reached a peak when reports indicated a human strike had destroyed a Council communication relay near the Athara Nebula, a heavily guarded region. They grow bolder, he growled. We will not rest until every human is gone. Back with Ilara, the group prepared for a mission that would define the humans' place in the galaxy. They targeted a small Council research outpost on a deserted moon. The outpost held critical intelligence, maps of fleet movements, attack strategies, and even early warning systems the Council used across the galaxy. The humans approached the moon quietly, using shadows and debris for cover. They observed the outpost from a distance, studying patrol schedules and defenses. Every human in the group had a role: scouts, engineers, medics, and strategists. Together, they formed a plan that relied on speed, cunning, and unpredictability. The attack began at dawn. Humans struck like a flash of lightning, moving faster than sensors could detect. They disabled security systems, used Council drones against their creators, and outmaneuvered every response. Within hours, the humans had not only captured the intelligence, but escaped without a single casualty. Ilara held the data close. This is more than just survival, she said to her team. This is a way to fight, to protect every human colony left in the galaxy. The Council thinks they can erase us, but we're proving them wrong. In the shadows of space, the Council scrambled. Voron's fury turned to fear as reports of human activity poured in. Humans weren't hiding. They were learning, growing, and striking back in ways no one could anticipate. Contain them, Voron ordered, his voice trembling slightly. Every human, every colony. They cannot be allowed to survive. Find them. Scylla shook her crystalline head. They are not meant to be contained. Humans are unpredictable. That is their nature. Every move we make only teaches them. Every attack makes them stronger. The irony was clear. The very species the Council sought to destroy was learning from their aggression, turning their power against them. Humans were proving to be something no alien species had ever encountered, a force of survival, ingenuity, and unbreakable will. Ilara and her team, meanwhile, continued their journey through the galaxy. Guided by hope and knowledge, they connected with other survivors, shared strategies, and even found small groups of aliens sympathetic to their cause. Humans were no longer just fleeing. They were forming a network of resistance, invisible yet effective, striking at the heart of the Council's power without being caught. For the first time since the attacks began, humans felt a shift. They were no longer the hunted. They were becoming a galactic problem the Council could not solve. As they prepared to leave the asteroid belt, Ilara looked at her team. "The Council thinks humans can be erased," she said softly. "They are wrong. We adapt, we survive, we fight, and we inspire. Humans will not only live, we will thrive. Every colony, every settlement, every human left in the stars will know this. We are unstoppable." Jonas nodded, a rare smile on his face. "Then let's make sure they understand it before they try anything else." The stars stretched endlessly before them, vast and full of possibilities. Across the galaxy, humans were hidden yet active, weaving a web of resistance that even the Council could not untangle. It was a galaxy in rebellion, led by a species the Council had once thought fragile, insignificant, and easy to destroy. But humans had a different story to tell, one of courage, cunning, and hope. And the Council, no matter how powerful, had yet to learn the true meaning of human ingenuity. In the silent corridors of space, the human rebellion began to grow. Shadow by shadow, strike by strike, the galaxy itself would soon take notice. Humans were no longer fleeing. They were fighting, and the Council, for the first time, realized that the species they sought to eliminate might just be the ones who change everything. Word count, linear 1,500 words. The Council was no longer confident. Varan paced the enormous chamber aboard the floating citadel, claws scraping against the crystalline floor. Every report he received deepened his frustration. Humans were everywhere, yet nowhere. Each strike he ordered to destroy them failed. Every trap he set seemed anticipated. "They are learning," he growled, slamming a fist against the table. "Every time we strike, they escape. Every move we make, they adapt. I do not understand it." Scylla, calm as always, tilted her crystalline head. "You do understand it, Voran. They are unpredictable, resourceful, and clever. That is the source of their strength. The harder we try to crush them, the smarter they become. Humans are not a species to control. They are a species to respect. Or fear." Varan's jaw twitched with anger. "Fear is not enough. They must be eliminated. I will not let a species so small humiliate the Council. Deploy the fleet. Every weapon. Every hunter. We will corner them." The humans, however, were already anticipating Council aggression. Ilara Kane had studied reports gathered from intercepted Council communications. She had seen the signs. Increased patrols near hidden colonies, the emergence of specialized hunter ships, and intelligence operations targeting their networks. "They're desperate," she told her team aboard the modified shuttle Aurora, navigating through an asteroid belt. "When a predator grows desperate, it makes mistakes. That's when humans strike." Jonas Rell, her second-in-command, nodded. "So we exploit their desperation. Hit them before they hit us. Use their own strategies against them." Ilara smiled faintly. "Exactly. Humans survive not by strength, but by thinking differently, and we're about to prove it." The humans' first move was subtle but effective. Small colonies that had been hidden for months suddenly began reporting activity in areas near Council patrols. Fake signals, false distress calls, and improvised decoys drew patrols away from real human settlements. The Council, confident in their technology, responded aggressively, but every strike was misdirected. Meanwhile, Ilara's team prepared for a daring mission, infiltrating a Council research hub known as Sector 9X, where humans suspected critical intelligence about Council fleets and weapon systems was stored. If successful, they could gain a strategic advantage unmatched in the galaxy. The journey to Sector 9X was perilous. Council fleets patrolled every known route. The humans relied on ingenuity, using abandoned tunnels in asteroid fields, cloaking devices made from scavenged materials, and complex maneuvers that no alien mind could predict. Even the Council's most advanced sensors were fooled. Inside Sector 9X, humans found more than just maps and schematics. They discovered Council experiments designed to predict human behavior, algorithms, simulations, and records meant to study every possible human response. Ilara examined the data in awe. "They think they can predict us," she said, her voice filled with quiet triumph. "But humans cannot be predicted. We learn, we adapt, and we use knowledge in ways no algorithm can anticipate." The humans rigged the facility to send false signals, creating confusion throughout the Council's systems. Communication relays were hacked, patrol routes altered, and key fleets misdirected. Council generals were bewildered, unable to understand how a species they deemed weak could outmaneuver them so easily. Back aboard the Citadel, Voran's frustration became panic. Reports of human activity were increasing exponentially. Entire fleets dispatched to hunt humans were returning empty-handed, ambushed, or misled. His claws gripped the table as he bellowed orders. "Double the patrols. Deploy the hunters. Find every human. I will not be mocked by this species." Scylla approached, her crystalline form gleaming under the chamber lights. "Voran, listen to reason. Humans do not respond to force the way other species do. We have underestimated them at every turn. The more we attack, the more they evolve. Perhaps, Voran snapped. "Do not speak of perhaps. We end them, or the Council loses control of the galaxy. That is all that matters." Meanwhile, the humans continued their campaign. Using the intelligence from Sector 9X, they launched a series of surgical strikes. Supply chains were sabotaged, weapons caches disabled, and Council scouts ambushed. Each operation demonstrated an unparalleled combination of courage, creativity, and efficiency. Ilara and her team also undertook a critical rescue mission. They had learned that several human scientists, captured during earlier raids, were being held in a remote prison planet known as Drexel 7. These scientists were key to understanding both Council technology and the future of human survival. The mission required infiltration, stealth, and improvisation. Humans used alien drones to disguise their movements, altered Council surveillance systems, and created multiple decoys. Every obstacle was met with a clever solution. One by one, the scientists were freed, adding their knowledge and skills to the growing human resistance network. During the mission, Ilara reflected on the uniqueness of humanity. Humans were fragile, yes, but they were also resourceful, empathetic, and unpredictable. Where alien species relied on rigid structures, humans thrived in chaos. Where technology alone failed, humans invented. Where fear paralyzed others, humans acted. The Council, in contrast, was rigid, hierarchical, and increasingly desperate. Every failure fueled paranoia. Voran began blaming others, questioning strategies, and demanding impossible results. Even his most loyal generals began to doubt. One of the captured Council strategists, observing the human resistance, commented, "They are not just survivors. They are learning faster than we can comprehend. Every attack makes them stronger. We have never faced a species like this." Ilara smiled when she heard this indirectly through intercepted transmissions. The humans were winning. Not with brute force, but with intellect, determination, and collaboration. In the outer systems, other human colonies followed suit. Small bands of survivors, inspired by the stories of Novara and Therion, began taking action. They sabotaged Council operations, shared intelligence, and communicated across hidden networks. Each colony became a node in a growing web of resistance, invisible yet powerful. The Council tried a new tactic, deploying hunter drones equipped with mind control technology to predict human responses. Voran believed this would finally end the threat. But humans once again adapted. Using shields, improvised hacking techniques, and distraction tactics, they neutralized the drones and turned them into tools for their own operations. Ilara observed the Council's desperation with a mix of caution and confidence. The humans were clever, yes, but their victories drew attention. The Council would escalate further. Soon, humans would face their most dangerous challenge yet. One evening, aboard the Aurora, Ilara gathered her team. "The Council is desperate," she said. "Every move they make is more aggressive, more reckless. But desperation can be used against them. We've survived every attack so far because we think differently, and we will continue to do so. Jonas nodded, his face serious. The next attacks will be bigger. They'll throw everything at us, but we've learned from their patterns. We can stay one step ahead. Ilara looked out at the stars, feeling the weight of responsibility. We are small, she said softly. But humans survive not because we are strong. We survive because we adapt, because we learn, because we refuse to give up. And we are not alone. Every human left in the galaxy, every ally we find makes us stronger. We are a network, a force, a species they cannot destroy. The humans spent weeks preparing for the Council's inevitable retaliation. They trained, repaired, and strategized. They strengthened hidden colonies, secured supply lines, and created contingency plans for every possible scenario. Each operation honed their ingenuity, creativity, and teamwork. The first warning of the Council's next move came in the form of a massive fleet mobilization near the Cerulean Rift, a strategic region in the outer galaxy. Varan intended to trap the humans, crush them, and demonstrate that no species could challenge the Council. But Ilara had anticipated this. Using intelligence gathered from Sector 9X and intercepted communications, she plotted a course that would turn the Council's trap against them. Humans prepared ambushes, set false trails, and readied devices that could disrupt alien sensors. As the fleets approached, the humans observed from hidden positions. Council ships moved with deadly precision, confident that humans would fall into their grasp. Yet the humans were already in motion, unseen, outsmarting every patrol, evading every weapon, and laying the groundwork for a counterattack that would shake the Council to its core. Humans were no longer the hunted. They were clever, resourceful, and resilient. Every action, every decision, every improvised tactic sent a clear message to the galaxy. Humans would not be erased. They would survive. They would adapt. And they would fight back, smarter, faster, and stronger than the Council ever imagined. For the first time, Voran realized the truth. Humans were not just difficult. They were extraordinary. And extraordinary could not be destroyed by force alone. The Council's desperation had begun. The humans were ready, and the galaxy, silent and infinite, held its breath as a species underestimated for centuries prepared to take its place, not as prey, but as a rising force that would challenge the very order of the cosmos. The galaxy had changed. Humans, once scattered and hunted, had grown cleverer, stronger, and more united. Small bands of survivors had become networks of resistance. Hidden colonies communicated through secret channels, sharing intelligence, supplies, and strategies. The Council, once confident in its power, was now desperate. Ilara Kane stood on the bridge of the Aurora, staring at the holographic map of the galaxy. Red blips marked Council fleets and green blips marked human positions. "They're mobilizing," she said, voice tense. "Voran is sending everything he has. He wants us trapped, destroyed." Jonas Rell, her second-in-command, studied the map. "It's a huge fleet and their weapons are massive. If they catch us in one place, we could be wiped out. But we have the element they don't expect, creativity." Ilara nodded. "We've survived every strike so far. Now it's time to go on the offensive. Not just to defend, but to turn the tide." Their plan was bold. Humans had discovered the Council's ultimate weapon, a device capable of erasing entire human colonies at once. It was called the Oblivion Matrix, and its power was unimaginable. One activation could vaporize a planet's surface, leaving no survivors. Voran intended to use it to finish what he had started, the complete extinction of humanity. The human team studied the device through stolen schematics. "It's massive," Ilara whispered. "If it's activated, we won't just lose colonies. We'll lose everything." Jonas clenched his fists. "Then we destroy it, before it's too late." The mission required traveling deep into Council territory, infiltrating a heavily guarded command station, and disabling the Oblivion Matrix before activation. Humans would face impossible odds, but Ilara knew their strength lay not in brute force but in ingenuity. They gathered allies from unexpected places, alien factions who had grown disillusioned with the Council's tyranny. Some were engineers, some soldiers, others navigators familiar with hidden routes. Together, they formed a diverse strike team capable of executing the most daring plan humanity had ever attempted. As they approached the command station, the Council's fleet loomed like a storm. Sensors lit up with Council patrols, security drones, and automated turrets. The humans split into squads, each with a specific mission: sabotage communications, disable external defenses, and infiltrate the central core where the Oblivion Matrix was controlled. Ilara led the infiltration team. They moved through maintenance shafts, air vents, and hidden corridors, avoiding patrols and surveillance cameras. Every step required careful planning, quick thinking, and trust in each other. The Council had underestimated humans' ability to improvise. Every locked door, every security measure, every obstacle became an opportunity for clever solutions. Meanwhile, other squads used the stolen schematics to sabotage the fleet outside. They rerouted power systems, hacked drones, and created diversions that drew Council forces away from the command station. Ships malfunctioned mid-flight, patrols collided, and confusion spread like wildfire. The humans were turning the Council's own technology against them. Inside the central core, Ilara and her team reached the control room. The Oblivion Matrix glowed ominously, its power radiating across the room. Council engineers guarded it, confident in their superiority. But humans, as always, had a plan. Ilara activated a device designed to interface with Council systems. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and for a moment, it seemed as if the Council would overwhelm them. But humans adapted, rerouting energy, overriding security, and using Council protocols against them. One by one, guards were neutralized, not with killing, but with clever traps and improvised tools. Finally, Ilara stood before the core of the Oblivion Matrix. Using knowledge gathered from Sector 9X and Therion Station, she worked to disable it. The device resisted, responding to her every move with automated countermeasures. But humans were persistent. Where machines expected rigidity, they encountered creativity. Where algorithms predicted patterns, humans acted unpredictably. Hours passed. Sweat dripped, muscles ached, yet the team pressed on. Outside, the fleet was still in chaos, diverted and confused. Council commanders were frantic, unable to understand why their ultimate weapon was faltering. Then, a final surge of effort. Ilara manipulated the core, rerouting power and overriding failsafes. The Oblivion Matrix shut down, a hum fading into silence. A signal of victory echoed across human networks. They had done it. Humans had destroyed the weapon that could have ended them, but the battle was not over. Council reinforcements were approaching. The humans had to escape, and fast. Using hidden corridors and alien navigational tricks, they slipped away just as Council patrols stormed the command station. Explosions erupted behind them, but the humans emerged unscathed. Back aboard the Aurora, the team celebrated quietly. They had struck a blow that would be remembered in human history. Not just for survival, but for proving that humans were clever, resilient, and unstoppable. Ilara looked at the stars, thinking of the colonies still in hiding. "We've won this battle," she said, voice soft but determined. "But the war is not over. There are humans out there who need hope, and now we can give it to them." Over the next weeks, humans spread the news of their success. Hidden colonies gained courage, and previously neutral or fearful species began offering support. Humans were no longer isolated survivors. They were leaders of a growing coalition against the Council's oppression. The Council, meanwhile, was in disarray. Varan's fury turned to fear as he realized his ultimate weapon had failed. Generals argued, strategies collapsed, and morale plummeted. No one had anticipated that humans could outthink them, outmaneuver them, and dismantle their most powerful device. Scylla watched silently, observing the humans' victories. "They are extraordinary," she murmured to herself, "not because they are the strongest or the fastest, but because they never give up. They learn, they adapt, and they inspire." Ilara's team, however, was not content with small victories. They began planning the next phase, connecting human colonies, establishing secure communication networks, and coordinating further operations to weaken the Council's control. They would strike strategically, carefully, using intelligence and unpredictability as their greatest weapons. Every victory increased humans' confidence, yet Ilara reminded her team of the stakes. "We've shown we can fight back," she said, "but the Council will not stop. They will grow more desperate, and desperate enemies are dangerous. We must stay clever, stay united, and continue to surprise them." The galaxy itself seemed to take notice. Systems once loyal to the Council began quietly aiding humans. Aliens who had long suffered under Council rule saw in humanity a spark of hope and courage. Humans were no longer just fighting for survival. They were becoming symbols of resistance. proving that even a small, underestimated species could challenge a mighty empire. One night, aboard the Aurora, Alara gazed out at the stars. "We've turned the tide," she whispered. "The Council thought they could erase us. They were wrong. They have underestimated humanity, and that is their greatest mistake. Now every colony, every survivor, every human left in the stars knows this. We are clever, we are resilient, and we will not be destroyed." Jonas placed a hand on her shoulder. "And they will know it soon enough." The Council wanted a galaxy without humans, but now they are desperate to capture it, control it, understand it, and they will fail. Alara smiled, a mix of relief and determination on her face. Because humans are not meant to be controlled. Humans are meant to survive, to adapt, to thrive, and the galaxy is about to learn just how extraordinary we are. In the silent corridors of space, the humans prepared for the next stage. Battles would come, challenges would rise, and the Council would continue to strike. But humans were ready. With ingenuity, courage, and unbreakable spirit, they were no longer prey. They were a force the galaxy could not ignore. The turning point had arrived. The Council's ultimate weapon was gone. Humans had survived. And their victories inspired a growing movement. Across countless star systems, hope spread like wildfire. A species once hunted was now rising, not with aggression alone, but with intelligence, creativity, and unwavering determination. The galaxy was changing, and humans were at the center of it all. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Stories of human ingenuity and daring victories spread like wildfire, whispered across star systems, carried in transmissions and shared in hidden colonies. The humans who had once fled in fear were now the architects of hope and resistance. Alara Kane stood on the bridge of the Aurora, scanning the holographic map that pulsed with activity. Red markers of Council forces still patrolled the outer systems, but green markers, human colonies and allied networks, had grown exponentially. Humanity was no longer scattered. It was connected, coordinated, and clever beyond anything the Council had imagined. Jonas Rell joined her, looking over the data. "They're panicking," he said. "Voran keeps ordering new fleets into these sectors. They think more ships will trap us, but every strike they send only falls into the traps we've set." Alara nodded. "Desperation makes them predictable. The Council is powerful, yes, but predictable. That is humanity's advantage. We survive not by strength, but by outthinking them." Far away in the central citadel, Voran was furious. His claws pounded the crystalline floor, and alarms echoed around him as reports of human operations arrived faster than his fleets could respond. Entire patrols were misdirected. Hidden colonies had gone silent except for occasional strikes that crippled Council installations. "They are everywhere," Voran roared. "Every fleet we send, every plan we make is thwarted. How is this possible?" Scylla, ever composed, replied, "Because humans are not like other species. They are unpredictable. Every failure you experience only teaches them. They adapt, they cooperate, and they learn from every encounter." Voran snarled. "Then we find them. We capture them. We understand them. I will not let humans humiliate the Council any longer." The humans, however, had already anticipated such escalation. Alara and her team had begun an audacious operation, targeting the Council's central research hub, a place containing not only critical intelligence, but the schematics for the next generation of weapons designed to exterminate humans. If they could seize it, the Council's dominance would crumble entirely. The mission required more than bravery. It required ingenuity. Humans and their alien allies coordinated an approach that no Council mind could predict. Using stealth, misdirection, and the adaptive thinking that defined humanity, they infiltrated the heavily fortified station under the guise of a supply convoy. Inside, Alara led a team of engineers and strategists. Every hallway security system and patrol was a challenge, but humans turned obstacles into tools. Drones were reprogrammed to create distractions. Automated doors were rigged to trap guards, and communications were intercepted to mislead the Council into thinking the station was secure. As they reached the core, humans discovered something remarkable: a central archive containing centuries of Council knowledge. Strategies, technology, even psychological profiles of alien species. They had access to the galaxy's most guarded secrets. For the first time, humans were not just fighting to survive. They were gaining the intelligence needed to dominate, not by force, but by understanding. Ilara examined the data. "This is incredible," she whispered. "The Council has spent centuries trying to predict species behavior. But we, humans, have the tools to turn that knowledge back on them." Jonas looked concerned. "And yet they will come after us. Voran will not let this happen. He will send everything." Ilara smiled, a quiet confidence in her eyes. "Let him come. He will see what humans can do when we are cornered. We are not just surviving, we are rising." Outside the station, humans executed the next phase of their plan. Covert operations targeted Council communication hubs, logistics networks, and supply routes. Entire fleets were diverted, misdirected, or rendered useless. Council generals argued, orders clashed, and confusion reigned. For every strike, humans responded with an unpredictable countermeasure, a clever solution, a move the Council could not have foreseen. Back on the Aurora, Ilara addressed the team. "This is the moment humans have been waiting for. We've survived impossible odds, outsmarted the Council at every turn, and now we have the chance to show the galaxy who we really are. Not just survivors, not just clever, but extraordinary." The final confrontation came when the Council deployed a massive fleet, intending to capture the human command center and all allied colonies. Voran believed this overwhelming show of power would crush resistance once and for all, but humans were ready. Using intelligence from the captured archives, they anticipated the fleet's moves. Traps were set across multiple star systems, supply lines were sabotaged, and ambushes waited in every asteroid belt, nebula, and hidden channel. Council ships found themselves isolated, confused, and unable to coordinate. Every calculated strike against humans backfired. Ilara coordinated her forces with precision. Small squads moved through shadows of space, striking where the Council was weakest, avoiding direct confrontation where strength was unfavorable. Each human team exploited gaps in logic, miscalculations in strategy, and predictable patterns of Council command. In the heat of battle, humans demonstrated something no alien species had ever matched: creativity under pressure. When a Council warship trapped them, they modified stolen technology mid-combat to escape. When communications failed, they improvised faster than the Council could react. When fear threatened to paralyze allies, humans led with courage, turning hesitation into coordinated action. The tide was turning. Voran's fleet faltered, unable to cope with the humans' unpredictability. Generals quarreled, fleets collided, and chaos spread like wildfire. For the first time, humans were not just surviving, they were shaping the battlefield. Ilara watched the holographic display. Council ships were retreating, disorganized and vulnerable. She felt a surge of hope tempered by caution. "This is only the beginning," she told her team. "The galaxy is watching. Every colony, every species, every star system will see what humans can do." In a daring move, humans sent a message to the Council Citadel, a demonstration of their capabilities. Images of strategic victories, rescued colonies, and coordinated attacks flashed across Council communications. Voran watched in disbelief as his fleets faltered. For centuries, he had believed in control, order, and predictability. Humans had shattered all of it. Scylla, observing quietly, finally spoke. "They are not like any species we have encountered. Their strength is not in weapons or technology. It is in spirit, ingenuity, and courage. They are extraordinary." Voran clenched his fists. "Then we adapt. We must find a way to understand them, capture them, control them." But humans were beyond control. The archives, the alliances, and the ingenuity they had demonstrated meant the Council could no longer dominate or destroy them. Every attempt at suppression only strengthened human networks. Every failure of the Council became a lesson for humans. Across the galaxy, the story spread. Aliens who had once followed the Council began offering aid to humans. Hidden colonies emerged from isolation. Resistance grew not just in humans, but among species oppressed by the Council. Humanity had become a symbol, a spark of hope, ingenuity, and defiance. Ilara and her team worked tirelessly to coordinate these networks. Secure communication systems connected colonies. Strategies were shared. Technology was adapted and improved. Humans were no longer just reacting. They were planning, shaping, and influencing the galaxy's future. One quiet evening aboard the Aurora, Ilara reflected on their journey. From Novara to Therion, from near destruction to bold victories, humanity had survived against impossible odds. "We have changed the galaxy," she whispered to Jonas. "They thought they could erase us. But we survived. We adapted, and now, the galaxy knows the truth about humans." Jonas smiled. "They underestimated us. They thought we were fragile, weak, predictable. But we've shown them the opposite. Humans are clever, resourceful, and unbreakable, and they cannot be ignored." Alara nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "We are humans. We survive, we adapt, and we thrive. That is our strength. That is what makes us extraordinary. The Council wanted a galaxy without us, but now they are desperate to understand us, and they will never succeed." In the silent expanse of space, humans continued their work. Every rescue mission, every sabotage, every act of ingenuity built toward a new reality. A galaxy where humans were not prey, not subjects, but respected and feared for their unique abilities. The Council, once the ultimate power, had been humbled. Foran's fleets were scattered, his authority questioned, and his plans foiled at every turn. The galaxy itself had witnessed something new. Humans. Small yet brilliant, unpredictable yet united, unstoppable in spirit. Alara gazed at the stars, imagining the countless worlds still untouched, the hidden colonies yet to rise, and the allies waiting in the shadows. Humans had survived, yes, but they had also become a force the galaxy could not ignore. And in that quiet moment, she realized the truth. Humans were extraordinary not because they were stronger than others, not because they had superior technology, but because they embodied qualities no machine, no strategy, no council could replicate: courage, creativity, empathy, and the relentless will to survive. The Council had wanted a galaxy without humans. Now they were desperate to capture, understand, and control it. But it was too late. Humanity had already shown its power, its ingenuity, and its spirit. The galaxy had changed,